In the voice of Priyanka Chopra, let me ask you something. Have you ever stayed in a situation far longer than you should have, just because you didn't want to be seen as a quitter? Just because walking away felt like defeat? I think many of us have. We've been taught that endurance is strength, that loyalty is noble, even when it's one-sided, even when it costs us our peace. But there comes a moment, often quiet, often overdue, when a woman wakes up and realizes something: her worth isn't measured by what she's willing to tolerate. Her value isn't validated by how long she can hold on. And that's when everything shifts. Because a woman who truly knows her worth is not afraid to walk away from a toxic relationship, from a thankless job, from a version of herself that no longer fits. And let me be very clear, this isn't about ego. It's about alignment. It's about knowing when the game is no longer worth playing and having the courage to leave it behind without looking back. That kind of strength, it's not loud, it doesn't beg. It simply rises, turns, and walks with clarity, dignity, and grace. This is her story, the story of the woman who doesn't chase closure, who doesn't cling to comfort, who knows her value so deeply, she's never afraid to say, "This is not for me, and I'm done." Let's talk about her. Let me tell you something, Rel. Nothing sharpens a woman like experience. You can read every book, hear every motivational talk, and follow all the rules. But until life has handed you storms, you don't truly know your strength. And once you've weathered those storms, once you've faced fire and walked through it without losing yourself, you become someone no one can easily mess with. You become a woman whose experience becomes her most powerful weapon. You see, when a woman has lived through battles, emotional, professional, societal, something in her shifts. She stops reacting to noise. She doesn't flinch when people throw shade because she's danced with shadows much darker. She's not rattled by gossip or rumors. Why? Because she's been through real pain. And when you've survived real pain, petty games become laughable. A woman like that doesn't get manipulated easily. She's seen the sweet talking, the gaslighting, the fake support. She's seen people smile to her face and stab her back when she turned. She's been there. She's done that. And guess what? She's still standing, stronger, sharper, smarter. Experience teaches her not just who she is, but who she will never be again. She learns the hard way how to set boundaries, how to stop giving energy to people who don't deserve it, and most importantly, how to protect her peace. That's her real win. Not revenge, not proving a point, but peace. You think you can shake her confidence with a few passive, aggressive comments? Please. She's had her dreams crushed and rebuilt them from scratch. She's failed publicly, cried privately, and shown up the next morning looking unbothered. That's not a mask. That's resilience. Every scar she carries, emotional or otherwise, is a badge, not of pain but of power. You don't get to that level of grace and grit without fighting for it. And she's done the work. She's cried those tears. She's been through heartbreak, betrayal, career setbacks, rejection, and every single time she rose. That kind of woman doesn't play the game. She rewrites the rules. I've seen it so often, especially in industries where image is everything. People try to box women into roles. You're expected to be sweet but not too assertive, bold but not intimidating, emotional but never too vulnerable. But once a woman has lived through her share of real-world challenges, she stops trying to fit those molds. She stops apologizing for being too much or not enough because she finally realizes she is enough. And that's where the shift happens. The moment you know you've got your own back, you stop needing others to validate you. A woman who's lived through battles doesn't need applause. She is her own cheerleader, her own guide, her own protector. She doesn't wait to be saved. She saves herself. People might still try to play games around her, to test her, to trigger her, to challenge her. But she doesn't flinch. She's not moved by noise, because her energy is too expensive to spend on anything that doesn't grow her. That's not arrogance. It's wisdom. And here's the part I love most. She doesn't need to explain herself. She doesn't owe the world a backstory for her strength. You either respect her journey, or you step aside, because if you knew what it took for her to become who she is, you'd understand, this woman is not here to play games. She's here to lead, to evolve, to inspire. So the next time someone sees a calm, composed, confident woman and thinks she's easy to figure out, think again. Still waters run deep. And her silence. That's not weakness. That's experience deciding what's worth her words. She's not playing chess with people who don't even know how to move their pieces. She's already 3 steps ahead, not because she's manipulative, but because she's learned. And when experience becomes your lens, you see things for what they truly are, not what they pretend to be. That's why you can't play her, because her weapon isn't rage, or revenge, or even wit. It's wisdom born out of pain, it's knowledge shaped by mistakes, it's confidence carved from survival, and that is unshakable. Let's get one thing clear. When a woman walks into a room and observes quietly, don't mistake that silence for uncertainty. She's not lost. She's calculating. She's reading the room, reading the energy, reading you. And trust me, her intuition, it's not some vague, fluffy feeling. It's not a wild guess. It's strategy. You see, for a woman who's had to navigate power dynamics, unspoken politics, hidden agendas, her instincts become razor sharp. She learns to read what's not being said louder than the words in the room. She notices the glance that lingered too long, the smile that didn't quite reach the eyes, the tension in the silence, the subtle power plays, the microaggressions, the unspoken alliances, they don't go unnoticed. She's got a sixth sense for it, but it wasn't born. It was built. This kind of woman has walked into boardrooms, sets, meetings, and life situations where she wasn't the favorite, where people looked at her and underestimated her intelligence, her strength, or her ability to lead. And instead of reacting, she observed, she adapted, she learned. And over time, she stopped just responding to the game. She started outsmarting it. That's what separates her. She's not guessing when she makes a move. She's done the inner work, learned from the past, and refined her instincts into tools. Her intuition is rooted in data, emotional data, body language, energy shifts, voice tone. She can tell when someone is being performative versus authentic, when they're trying to manipulate versus support. And instead of calling them out right away, she makes a mental note and plays her hand with patience. You know why that scares some people? Because they can't read her. She doesn't wear her emotions like a neon sign anymore. She's learned that not everyone deserves access to her vulnerability, so she listens more than she speaks, she observes more than she reacts, and when she speaks, it's deliberate, thought through, effective. That's strategy. And let me say this isn't about being cold or distant. It's about discernment. It's about emotional intelligence. A woman who reads the room isn't doing it to manipulate. She does it to protect her energy, to steer clear of chaos, to stay in alignment with her values. Because when you've been burned before, you stop romanticizing potential. You start recognizing patterns. She's not moved by charm. She's not fooled by flattery. She's seen how easily words can lie, so she watches actions. She watches how people treat others when no one's looking. How they talk to someone who can't benefit them. How they respond when someone else is in the spotlight. She's not just observing behavior, she's measuring integrity. And when it comes to players, please, she can spot them a mile away. The smooth talkers, the game runners, the emotionally unavailable types who offer breadcrumbs and call it love. She's played that level. She's been there, done that, and outgrew it. So now, she doesn't fall for potential. She aligns with truth. You see, a woman like that doesn't need to be loud to be powerful. She doesn't need to control the room. She simply commands it by how she carries herself. Her presence says, I see you, even if you think I don't. And when she chooses to engage, it's intentional. That level of awareness makes her dangerous, but only to those who come with bad intentions. To the real ones, she's magnetic. Because her presence feels safe, clear, and grounded. She knows who she is, what she stands for, and she's not afraid to walk away from anything or anyone that doesn't align. She's not guessing. She's not reacting. She's strategizing. Every decision, every conversation, every silence, it's calculated, and not in a manipulative way, but in a mature, empowered, intelligent way. She's protecting her growth, her energy, her peace. So the next time someone underestimates her, when they think they're 2 steps ahead, smiling sweetly while planning their next move. They should remember this. She's already read the room, she's already read the player, and she's already decided how this game ends. Let's be honest, manipulation is everywhere. It's in relationships, in friendships, in boardrooms, on social media. People pull strings, play mind games, twist truths just enough to get what they want. But here's the thing, it doesn't work on her anymore. Because she's seen it all, and she's done playing small so others can play their games. A woman who has lived through manipulation, who has been lied to, gaslit, emotionally controlled, learns to recognize it like a scent in the air. You can't gaslight someone who's already walked through that fire and come out with her self-respect intact. You can't twist her truth because she knows it too deeply. You can't make her feel small because she's already fought her way back to wholeness. She's immune to your tactics. She remembers what it felt like to doubt her instincts, to question her emotions, to second guess her worth because someone made her feel like love had to be earned or that success had to come at the cost of her dignity. She's been through those chapters and closed them. Now, she's reading a whole new story, one where she sets the rules. She's not impressed by sweet talk. She knows that not everyone who says, "I care," actually does. She's seen how people can smile at you and still want to see you fall. And that's why she doesn't engage with the surface-level charm anymore. She listens. She observes. And when someone starts pulling emotional strings or trying to control her choices through guilt, fear, or flattery, she doesn't react, she rises. You think she didn't notice your tactics. She noticed. She just chose not to give them energy. She's learned the power of not responding. That silence is sometimes the loudest answer, and that disengaging is a form of emotional mastery. Because here's what people forget. Manipulation only works on those who haven't yet learned to trust themselves. But she does trust herself, deeply, fiercely, and that's what makes her unshakable. Her self-worth doesn't hinge on how someone else treats her. She doesn't need constant reassurance or approval to feel enough. She is enough. She knows she is. She's learned that her boundaries are sacred, and anyone who tries to break them with guilt trips or gaslighting will quickly find themselves outside those lines. She doesn't entertain emotional games. She doesn't stick around hoping someone will change. She knows when to walk, and she's not afraid to do it. And no, this isn't bitterness. This is clarity. This is wisdom. This is what happens when a woman decides she will never again trade her peace for someone else's comfort. She's not angry. She's evolved. And that evolution looks like walking away from people who thrive on control, manipulation, or emotional chaos. She plays above it now because she's not here to prove anything. She's not here to fix anyone. She's not here to win games she didn't even sign up to play. She's here to grow, to heal, to create, to thrive, and anything that doesn't serve that journey, she simply lets it go. She knows that real power is quiet, it's calm, it's clear, and she holds that power with grace. You can try all the tricks in the book, but she's already read it. She's seen the red flags, lived through the manipulation, and turned the pain into wisdom. Now her energy is protected, her heart is guarded by discernment, not walls, and her life is built around truth, not illusion. If you come to her with honesty, with respect, with depth, she'll meet you there. But if you come with tactics and games, don't be surprised when she doesn't even blink. She's already won a war you don't even know she fought. So the next time someone tries to play her, they better remember this: you can't manipulate a woman who's mastered herself. She's not here to be played. She's here to lead. And she doesn't fight dirty. She just doesn't fight at all. She simply outgrows. That's real power. That's why manipulation doesn't work on her anymore. Because she plays above it and always will. You know, one of the greatest lessons I've learned in life, and trust me, it took me years, is that not everything needs a reaction. Not every attack, every insult, every whispered comment behind your back deserves your energy. Because when you know who you are, you don't chase every voice trying to shake you. You rise above it. A powerful woman isn't powerful because she's always loud, or always fighting, or constantly defending herself. No, She's powerful because she knows when to speak and when to stay silent. She knows that silence isn't weakness. It's strategy. It's poise. It's control. Let's be honest. Life will throw all kinds of people your way. Some will misunderstand you. Some will judge you. Some will project their own insecurities onto you. And if you respond to every bit of negativity, you'll spend your entire life explaining yourself to people who aren't even listening. And she's done with that phase. She no longer reacts to every jab, every passive-aggressive comment, every attempt to pull her into drama. She used to, maybe once upon a time, she would defend herself, explain herself, try to correct people's narratives. But now she's selective. Not every fight is worth her time. Not every insult deserves a seat at her table. That's not indifference. That's wisdom. Because she knows that some people want a reaction. Some people thrive off conflict, off pulling her down just to feel bigger. And the moment she gives them her attention, she gives them power. So instead, she gives them silence. Not because she's afraid, but because she's focused. She's got bigger things to do, bigger dreams, bigger responsibilities. She's not going to pause her growth to argue with someone committed to misunderstanding her. That's not pride, that's prioritizing peace. You see, choosing your battles doesn't mean you avoid confrontation. It means you don't let confrontation choose you. It means you stand your ground where it matters most, and you walk away when it doesn't. She knows how to protect her energy, not waste it. There's a kind of grace that comes with restraint. The kind that says, I could drag you if I wanted, but I won't, because I've evolved. That's not arrogance. That's evolution. That's what happens when you finally realize your time and peace are too valuable to spend on proving points to people who aren't even on your level. And don't get it twisted. She knows how to fight. Oh, she can speak. She can stand her ground like fire. But she doesn't waste her voice on noise. She saves her power for purpose. She speaks when it matters, when it aligns with her values, when it protects what she loves. Everything else, she lets it fade. There's also a quiet kind of strength in knowing you could respond, but choosing not to. That's control. That's dignity. That's the kind of strength that doesn't need an audience. In fact, she's learned that the most powerful clapbacks are often no words at all. Just progress, just growth, just showing up every day and doing her thing, because success is the loudest response, peace is the final word. And yes, there will always be people who interpret her silence as surrender. Let them. Because while they're busy talking about her, she's busy building. While they're plotting drama, she's plotting dreams. And that's the difference. She's not passive. She's powerful. She doesn't run from confrontation. She just doesn't give it the satisfaction of her spotlight. She chooses her battles, not because she's afraid to fight, but because she's wise enough to know what's truly worth fighting for. That's real growth. That's maturity. That's emotional intelligence. So the next time someone tries to provoke her, to drag her into chaos, to twist her words or her worth, she doesn't flinch. She doesn't post, react, or explain. She just breathes. She smiles. And she keeps moving. Because she knows silence is her armor, focus is her answer, and peace is her power. Let's talk about confidence. Not the kind you perform, not the kind you borrow, not the kind that shows up only when someone claps for you. I'm talking about that quiet, unshakable confidence that lives in a woman's bones. The kind that says, I know who I am, and I don't need you to agree with it. That's her. That's the kind of woman we're talking about. Her confidence is not up for negotiation. You can question her. You can challenge her. You can ignore her, doubt her, underestimate her. But you cannot shake her. Because she's not standing on your approval. She's standing on her purpose. She's walked through too much, learned too much, and grown too much to base her worth on external applause. Applause fades. Opinions shift. People cheer for you one moment and question you the next. If her confidence depended on that, she'd be on an emotional roller coaster, and she's not living like that anymore. Her confidence is rooted in purpose, in intention, in the work she does behind the scenes, in the integrity she holds when no one's watching. She doesn't need to be seen to feel powerful. She doesn't need to be praised to feel valid. because what drives her is not attention, it's alignment. She is here to build something bigger than likes and followers and approval ratings. She's here to make impact. Whether it's through her art, her leadership, her motherhood, her activism, her storytelling, whatever her lane is, she's in it with fire. And that fire, that's where her confidence comes from. People often confuse confidence with arrogance, but real confidence, the kind she has, is humble. It's grounded. It doesn't need to shout to be heard. It just is. It shows up in how she walks into a room, how she speaks up without shrinking, how she owns her space without apologizing. And here's the thing. She wasn't always this way. No one is born unshakable. She built this version of herself through seasons of doubt, rejection, failure, and being told she wasn't enough. She's had doors slammed in her face. She's been told she's too much, not enough, too loud, too quiet, too ambitious, too different. And for a while, she believed them, like many of us do. But then one day, something shifted. She got tired of waiting for the world to approve of her, tired of shaping herself to fit into everyone else's expectations. So she made a decision to approve of herself, to back herself, to believe in her own voice, even when it shakes. From that moment on, validation became optional, and purpose became everything. So no, she's not rude when she doesn't explain herself. She's not arrogant when she declines your opinion. She's not defensive when she sets a boundary. She just knows who she is. And if that makes some people uncomfortable, so be it. Her mission is not to make everyone like her. It's to live her truth. And that truth, it gives her a confidence that can't be bought, borrowed, or broken. You could strip away the titles, the status, the spotlight, and she'd still walk with her head high. Because she doesn't wear confidence like an accessory. She embodies it. It's in her posture, in her poise, in her refusal to settle. She doesn't perform confidence to impress. She lives it to inspire. And she's not threatened by other powerful women. In fact, she celebrates them. Because her confidence doesn't shrink in the presence of others. It expands. Real confidence creates space. It doesn't compete. So if you try to negotiate her value, don't be surprised when she walks away. If you try to poke holes in her self-worth, don't be surprised when she doesn't flinch. She's not in the business of convincing anyone anymore. She's in the business of becoming, of building, of being, because in her world, confidence isn't up for debate. It's a non-negotiable. And the only thing she needs to keep moving forward, purpose. That's her fuel. That's her compass. That's her power. There's a certain kind of woman who doesn't wait to be invited. She doesn't beg to be seen, to be heard, to be accepted. She's done knocking on doors that weren't meant for her, done squeezing herself into spaces that feel too small for her voice, her vision, her power. She builds. That's who she is. She's not waiting for permission. She's not sitting around hoping someone hands her an opportunity. If the table doesn't have a chair with her name on it, she doesn't plead for one. She creates it, or better yet, she builds a new table where she and other powerful women can thrive without compromise. And no, this isn't ego. This is liberation, because she's been in those rooms before, the ones where she had to tone it down, play it nice, stay in line. She's been overlooked, underestimated, interrupted, dismissed. She's felt the sting of being almost chosen, of being good, but not their kind of good. And instead of letting that break her, she let it build her. Let's be real, the world hasn't always made space for women like her. Women with opinions, with ambition, with a fierce sense of self-worth. So she stopped waiting for space and started claiming it, not by shouting for attention, but by doing the work, by showing up, by creating excellence so undeniable, the world had to turn and look. You see, she doesn't ask for validation, she creates value. Her presence isn't a request, it's a contribution. And that mindset changes everything. Because begging is rooted in the belief that someone else holds the power. Building means you know the power is within you. She's a builder in every sense of the word. She builds brands, businesses, families, dreams, movements. She builds other women up instead of tearing them down. She builds bridges instead of walls. And most importantly, she builds herself every single day. She's not afraid to evolve, to reinvent, to start again if she has to. Her resilience is part of her blueprint. And let me tell you, building isn't easy. It takes grit. It takes grace. It takes sleepless nights, self-doubt, rejection, and rising again. But she'd rather walk that hard road with integrity than sell herself short for a shortcut. Because the truth is, when you beg, you get crumbs. But when you build, you create abundance, not just for yourself, but for everyone who comes after you. And she gets that. She knows it's not just about her. It's about her daughter, her sisters, her community, every little girl watching, wondering if she can do it too. And so she builds loudly, proudly, without apology. She builds with purpose, with heart, with boldness. Because she knows her legacy isn't in what she earned. It's in what she created. She refuses to beg for a place in systems that weren't designed for her anyway. She's not trying to fit in. She's rewriting the narrative. She's designing her own platform, telling her own story, speaking her own truth. She knows that real power doesn't come from being accepted. It comes from being authentic. And here's the best part. She's not building just to shine alone. She's building so others can rise with her. Her table isn't exclusive. It's expansive. It's diverse. It's inclusive. She knows there's room for all of us to win. And that's what makes her dangerous in the best way. She's not just successful. She's transformational. So if you see her walking into a room like she belongs there, it's because she does. If you see her speaking like her voice matters, it's because it does. And if you see her turning away from places that don't honor her, don't mistake that for weakness. That's strength. That's self-respect. That's the energy of a woman who builds, not begs. She's not knocking anymore. She's designing the architecture. She's not auditioning. She's producing the show. She's not asking to be seen. She's creating the light. That's what happens when a woman stops waiting for her seat at someone else's table and realizes she is the table. Let me tell you something about a powerful woman. She doesn't just chase success, she protects her peace. Fiercely, unapologetically, like a queen guards her throne, because she understands that no matter what she's built, no matter what she's achieved, it means nothing if her mind is in chaos. Mental peace isn't just a luxury for her. It's her foundation. It's where her intuition lives. It's where her clarity rises. It's where her strength regenerates. That's why she won't let just anyone into her space. She's intentional about the people, the energy, and the conversations she allows it into her life. Not because she's cold, but because she's clear. There was a time, like many of us, when she used to stretch herself too thin, pleasing everyone, attending everything, saying yes when her heart whispered no. She thought that being everything to everyone made her strong, but it left her drained, scattered, and disconnected from herself. Then she learned the truth. Peace is power, and protecting it isn't selfish, it's sacred. Now, she guards her mind the way royalty guards a crown, with precision, with boundaries, with pride. She's not afraid to say no. She's not afraid to walk away. She's not afraid to unfollow, unplug, or disappear from noise that disturbs her soul. You won't find her in every drama. You won't catch her in every debate. She's not interested in winning arguments. She's interested in preserving her energy, because she knows that real strength isn't in how loud you are, it's in how centered you stay. That's why she chooses her battles carefully and her environment intentionally. She's not reactive, she's reflective. She takes a pause before she responds, not because she's unsure, but because she values her own mental clarity more than momentary victory. And it's not just about silence. It's about sovereignty. Her peace is not negotiable. She doesn't allow chaotic people to pull her into their storm. She doesn't feed off toxicity, gossip, or unnecessary confrontation. She's evolved past that, not because she's too good, but because she's healed too much to go back to what broke her. Her mornings begin with intention. Whether it's prayer, meditation, journaling, music, or just a quiet moment with coffee and her thoughts, she carves out space for stillness. Because she knows when her mind is clear, her power is undeniable. That calm energy, That's where her confidence lies. That's what fuels her decision-making, her creativity, her leadership. She's also incredibly protective of her time. She doesn't give everyone access to her. You want to speak to her. You need to match her frequency. And that's not arrogance, it's alignment. She's not going to let people disturb her peace just because they're uncomfortable in their own skin. You see, peace isn't about escaping problems. It's about facing them from a grounded place. And that's what she does. She confronts her emotions. She processes her wounds. She doesn't suppress what she feels, but she doesn't let it rule her either. She's found the balance. And that balance is her crown. And yes, there will be people who call her too quiet, too distant, too self-contained. Let them. They don't understand what it takes to carry dreams, lead lives, heal scars, and still protect your spirit. She doesn't owe anyone chaos just to prove she's alive. In fact, her calm is often mistaken for weakness, until people realize it's the strongest part of her, that stillness you feel around her. That's not absence. That's presence. That's a woman so in tune with herself that nothing and no one can shake her unless she allows it. She knows that in a world addicted to hustle, urgency, and noise, peace is a rebellion, and she wears that rebellion like a queen wears her crown, boldly, beautifully, without explanation. So no, she doesn't chase drama, she doesn't beg for closure, she doesn't seek revenge, she simply chooses peace, over and over again. Because she understands, if her mind is chaotic, her life will be too. That's why her peace is her power base. It's where she retreats. It's where she rises. It's where she remembers who she is when the world forgets. So if you ever wonder why she seems so composed, so intentional, so untouchable, just know this. It's not because life is easy for her. It's because she's made a promise to herself. To protect her peace. To protect her power. Like a queen guards her throne. There's something incredibly powerful about a woman who can walk away. Not because she's given up. Not because she's lost. But because she knows her worth. That's the woman we're talking about. She doesn't stay somewhere just to prove a point. She doesn't keep playing a game just to show she can win. If the game costs her peace, self-respect, or authenticity, she'll leave it without flinching, without drama, and without turning back. Why? Because she understands something most people don't. True power isn't in holding on. It's in knowing when to let go. There was a time when she thought walking away meant failure. That if she stayed a little longer, tried a little harder, explained herself one more time, maybe, just maybe, it would work. Relationships, jobs, friendships, rooms that didn't value her, conversations that drained her. She kept showing up, kept shrinking herself, kept justifying her place, until one day, she asked herself a simple but life-changing question. Why am I fighting so hard to stay in spaces that don't fight for me? And just like that, something inside her clicked. She realized that her worth was not up for debate. She didn't need to beg for respect, didn't need to earn basic dignity, didn't need to explain her standards. She learned that staying in the wrong place too long doesn't build strength. It breeds resentment. And she wanted peace, not bitterness. So she started walking away from people who made her question her value, from jobs that dimmed her brilliance, from roles that asked her to be less than who she is. And each time she walked away, something miraculous happened. She didn't become less, she became more. You see, people often confuse staying with strength. But it takes far more courage to walk away from something familiar and uncertain than it does to stay in it for fear of being alone. She knows that walking away isn't a loss, it's liberation. It's choosing herself over the illusion of security. She's not impulsive. She's not reckless. She walks away calmly, clearly, and completely. When she leaves, she's already done the inner work. The silence before her goodbye is where she's been calculating, weighing, reflecting. And when the goodbye comes, it's final. No half steps, no emotional returns. Because she doesn't leave to teach others a lesson. She leaves because she's finally learned her own. And her self-worth. It's not tied to how long she can endure mistreatment. It's not dependent on what others think of her. She doesn't need closure from someone who never gave her clarity in the first place. Her closure comes from within. Her dignity isn't up for negotiation, And her loyalty isn't blind. Yes, she's loving. Yes, she's committed. Yes, she'll go all in, but only for people, places, and paths that match her energy. She refuses to keep showing up where she's taken for granted, because she knows when you tolerate less than you deserve, you teach people how to treat you. So, she raises the standard, not just for others, but for herself. And the best part, she walks away from more than just people. She walks away from old versions of herself, from self-doubt, from patterns that no longer serve her, from habits that kept her stuck. Because every time she chooses to walk away from what's not right, she walks toward what is. This doesn't mean she's cold. It doesn't mean she doesn't feel. She feels deeply. But she's disciplined with her heart. She knows love should never cost her her voice, and success should never cost her her soul. Walking away isn't a weakness. It's a woman saying, I know who I am, I know what I bring, and I refuse to stay where that's not honored. That kind of self-respect. It changes everything. It shifts her energy. It opens new doors. It attracts people who see her, not just use her. It creates space for alignment, growth, and fulfillment. So if you see her turn around and leave, don't mistake it for loss. It's a power move. It's her choosing herself. And that's the kind of choice that reshapes futures. Because she knows one undeniable truth. When you know your worth, you don't cling. You walk. And when she walks, it's with grace, with purpose, and with her head held high. Thank you. Take care and goodbye.